Everybody, we are talking about reference and inference. But before we start the lesson today, I would like to remind you one of a very nice picture I have about the roses and the statement by Shakespeare. Do you remember this one so far? So what's in the name? That which we call a rose by another name, it would smell as good, smell the same. So when you name something, you can call this one or this one roses or whatever it is. It's still the same. So the name is just the way the speaker wants to express the idea. And that's what we call the referring expression. I want you to look at those sentences and tell me which one do you think are referring expression?
Okay, him refers to the outline, and there refers to that beautiful place. It is kind of an anaphoric reference.
So the old guide and that beautiful place. Thank you very much. Any other expression you can find in here to refer to something or someone or somewhere? Any other ideas?
I think the funny hat is one of the expression here.
Yeah, the funny hat as well. What else? So can I ask Hồng Ngọc? Big on, please.
Him is someone referred to the one that the speakers already know before.
Okay, thank you very much. One more, please, everybody. So we have the old guy, the funny hat, beautiful place, and him. What else? Lan Ngọc. Okay, I wonder if we have any others. And there as well. Okay, so I would like you to look at those statements. Do you think you can understand what it means, what they mean? Thùy Dung.
Yes.
Do you think you understand what they mean?
I think so. I think that I understand.
Okay. How will you understand?
Look at this sentence. We have the agreement in the speaker and the listener. I am not the listener in this context, but if I am the listener, I think that I can understand this.
So I just mentioned to the speaker, the listener in the context. I just ask you personally when you read or when you hear those.
Oh yeah.
Do you
so
think you can understand? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. No, I don't.
Okay. What's the problem to you?
Because apparently both speaker and listener have the same knowledge of what they are talking about. They have an agreement of referring to something, so I don't have to clearly state the information. So
Mình về các bạn ơi, học giỏi kiểu này nói hết rồi, còn thầy còn nói gì nữa giờ? Okay, thank you very much. That's what I want to say. So I would like you to look at the referring expression, and you can see that it may be when the speaker say, remember the old guy with the funny hat. This is very clear to someone else, to some speaker or some listeners, but not us, because we are not the listener. We don't have any knowledge. We don't have any shared background with the speaker. So it's really hard to identify the old guy and the funny hat. We don't actually know that beautiful place. Is that Hạ Long Bay, Đà Lạt, or somewhere else? Or look at him. Who is him? We don't know. Or see you there. Where is there? Because we have no knowledge. We have no background of understanding those things. So the referring expression seems to be meaningless. So based on that, in order to refer and to infer something, we need to have kind of agreement between the speaker and the listeners. And that is the purpose for today. So what can be referring expression? I would like you to remember to the example I give. Can you tell me what can be referring expression, please? Can I ask Vũ Duy?
Yes, it's just you mean example, right?
What can be referring expression? In
It,
general.
it or them. I think it can refer to something you mentioned before.
Okay. Actually, I mean, they can be proper nouns, definite noun phrases, indefinite noun phrases, or pronouns. Okay. So can you give me some example of proper nouns can be referring expression? Can I ask Hồng Hoan, please?
Yes, the proper names may I would like you to visit Ho Chi Minh City. Have you ever been that place?
Okay, so Ho Chi Minh City is in now proper nouns. Yeah, sure.
Yes.
So I would like to give you some example. Like we talk about Shakespeare, and we know who we mean to, or we talk about someone whose name Ngọc Trinh. I know for sure that when we talk about Ngọc Trinh, we have an image of one girl in your mind. That can be your close friend, that can be your neighbor, or someone who are in the showbiz, who is we can consider her as celebrity. We talk about Hawaii. That's the proper nouns of a place. Or we can have the author, the singer, the island, or whatever it is, or a man, a woman, a beautiful place, or someone like he, her, it, or them. Okay, they are all referring expression. But remember, words themselves don't refer to anything. People refer. What does it mean? Can you explain how you understand this one? And can you give me some example, please? Can I ask Nguyễn Thị Hồng Ngọc?
Yes. I think that words themselves cannot refer, like when we just say Shakespeare or when we say him. Like when we just say him, we cannot understand, but in the context, we can understand, like when the speaker and listener know what is him is.
Okay, thank you very much for the explanation. That's really good one. So come back to the definition of reference. What is reference? I would like to give you a very short definition, like reference in act in which use it to enable a listener, a reader to identify something. Can you help me to complete the definition, please? Phan Vương Nguyệt.
Yes. Reference is an act in which can be a pronounced noun phrase, definite or indefinite, and pronouns.
That's not what I expect. So can I ask you, Tin, please?
Yes, reference is an act in which speakers or writers uses linguistic forms to enable a listener or reader to identify something.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. That's right. You can find the definition in your books. When we talk about the speaker or writer using linguistic forms, and linguistic form can be proper nouns, indefinite noun phrases, and definite and indefinite noun phrases, and also pronouns to enable a listener or many listeners or readers to identify something. Okay, so now we come to the point choosing a referring expression. So how can we choose a speaker? How can we choose what we say appropriate referring expression? What do you think? Can I ask Thanh Nguyên, please?
Yeah. How can we choose a referring expression? Well, it depends on the knowledge that is shared between the speaker and the hearer. Yeah. So.
Thank you, Bert. Yeah, that's right. So.
No, that's it. That's it, sir. Yeah.
Okay, I hope so. Okay, Phương Tú, please. So would you like to share something?
Yeah, I think when we want to choose a referring expressions, we answer yes. Referring expressions also depends on the context of speaking between the speaker and the listener, and as well as the relationship between the speaker and the listener as well.
Okay, thank you very much, Phương Tú. Xin hỏi là bạn Gấm còn đây không hay là đã ra rồi? Gấm ơi, ra chưa Gấm ơi? Đi rồi.
Gấm có tiết sau á thầy, Gấm dạy tiếp sau rồi.
Người đi nhỉ, người đi thật. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. So, in order to choose the appropriate referring expression, we mentioned to based on what the speaker assumes the listener already knows. So that is the cooperation between the speaker and listener. So you must sure that what the listener know what is their general knowledge, and then you can choose the correct one. So reference then is clearly tied to the speaker goals. So what you want to identify, what you want to say, and the speaker believes that they can that is your beliefs about the listener general knowledge, or what you expect the listener to understand and to know what you mean. Okay, so can I ask you the question, who make inference and who make reference? Can I invite Diễm Quỳnh?
Yes. And so I think that for reference, really the speaker will make reference, and inference is for the listener.
Thank you very much. Vũ Duy, would you like to share something?
I think I have the same idea with Diễm Quỳnh, because reference I normally it's in the writer or the speaker. If you in written language, that means the writer or the author, they gonna
okay,
have
thank you
the
very much
reference.
for that. You are very careful. So we say that the speaker and listener, but actually in written language, we have the writer, the authors, and the readers as well. Thank you, Vũ Duy. Okay, so I would like to remind you that there's no direct relationship between the entities and the words. What does it mean? How do you understand this one? No relationship between entities and words. Thùy Dung, please.
So I understand that just like the sentence that you gave about roses,
Okay.
it's just a name that we refer. People call that rose, but it can be another name in other language. So it's have no direct relationship between that rose in real life and the word. You just call that, and that is the speaker who refer that.
Thank you very much, Thùy Dung. Thank you very much. Your English is really good, and the way you explain is very, very clear. Thank you very much for that. So I would like to go back to the example I gave about the roses again. So sometimes we say that the word rose, it just means kind of flower. Sometimes roses is used for the baby girl. I also call my baby girls roses. That's in my rose. That means someone you love or anyone. It can mean anything. So words can refer to different things, and there's no direct relationship between the things, the person, and the word. But it depends on what? It depends on the relationship between the listener and the speaker. So in that case, the listener needs to infer correctly with entity the speaker intends to identify by using particular referring expression. For example, I'll go back to the example of a rose. A rose, in my opinion, can refer to a kind of flower, can refer to a baby girl, can refer to a sweetheart or girl. So in that case, the listener needs to identify exactly what the speaker means. So by that, he or she can interpret correctly. Okay. So remember, we need a lot of collaboration between the listener and the speaker. But sometimes we look at the words, we look at the entity, we look at the person, and we don't know the exact name. So the question is, if we don't know exactly which name would be best word to use, can we still refer to some entities, someone, or something? And if so, how? I would like to give you an example. For example, when you look at a thing, something very strange that you don't know what name is it, can you still refer to that? Or when you talk about somebody that you don't actually know a name, can you still refer to that person? If yes, how? Khánh Mai, please. Khánh Mai, please.
Sorry. Yes, we can use some adjectives to describe the characteristic of something or someone if we don't know the
Give me an
name.
example, please.
For example, if you don't know the name of the shipper, but you can call him the shipper. Yeah.
So you use the job to call the person.
We can use the man who have a sense of humor.
Okay, thank you very much. Yep, thank you very much. So Tuyền Nguyễn, can you share something?
Yes, I share idea with Miss Mai. We can use explanation. We can explain. You can see the words, the definition. Yes.
For example, please, Tuyền.
Yeah, for example, when we have to talk about the words about the doctor, for example, but we forget the words doctor, so we can say define doctors is the person who treats for the sick people, for example, like this.
Okay, thank you very much. In that case, you use the name of the job for the name of the person then. Hồng Ngọc, any idea to share?
I think that people usually use a characteristic and appearance to describe someone, and for something as well. Like for my student, when they describe me, they usually use the very cruel and ugly teacher.
So why don't they use the beauty?
I don't know, maybe.
So you need to correct them, correct the student mistake. So you can say something like, okay, dear my student, I forgive your mistake, but I need to correct you. Just please call me the beauty.
To learn this subject next term again.
Okay. Just I forgive your mistake, and it's okay. It's okay to call me the beauty, please. Okay, Nguyên Bình, please.
Yes, okay. I would like to share my idea. When we don't know exactly the name, we can refer someone by give their description. For example, I remember that there is a famous story like Little Red Riding Hood. For Cô bé Hoàng khăn đỏ in Vietnamese, I think this is the good way to infer someone by description.
Thank you very much. Bình, em có một cái giọng rất là trầm, rất là truyền cảm, và đề nghị mai mốt em phát biểu đó, em đừng có cười tươi nữa, bởi vì em cười rất là tỏa sáng, nên mọi người nhìn vào đó sẽ bị phân tâm, người ta sẽ không có quan tâm được, không có chú ý được em nói cái gì. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a routine name.
Okay, thank you very much. So I agree with you on. Sometimes when we don't know exactly the name, we can use some vague expression. Sometimes you can invent names. You make names for people or things. And for example, we just say the blue things, it is stuff, the blah, 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 or whatever. So in that case, you need to rely on the listener ability to infer what the referent he or she has in his mind. So sometimes some vague expression can be meaningless to someone else, but it is very meaningful to the listener. Maybe they say something unsure, they say something unspecific, not specific, but still the listener can identify what it is. Okay. You know that I have a very good friend, a close friend. And in Vietnamese, he asked me the question like, hey, mày có nhớ cái thằng gì nè, cái thằng diễn viên gì nè, nó đóng trong bộ phim đó đó, cái bộ phim mà quên rồi, đóng như nhỏ đó đó. Cái câu chuyện đó là tôi hay kể lại nhiều nhất. Cái thằng gì nè, thằng đó đó đóng trong cái bộ phim đó, bộ phim đóng như nhỏ đó đó. Is he really meaningless? But still we can identify who is the person is, just because the listener is capable of understanding because of the shared knowledge, the shared experiences we have together. So sometimes it seems to be meaningless to the outsider, but it is very meaningful to the person who are involved. Okay, sometimes we invent name. For example, Mr. Aftershave is late today. You know aftershave? What is aftershave? Can I ask, let's say, Thành Vinh, do you know aftershave?
Yes, I think I think the names come from the reason for the lateness.
What is that? Can you explain a little bit more, please?
Maybe I think maybe because this person have to repair some personal hygiene before going to that place. So he's so hurry to come to that place, and he's late. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Aftershave, I would like to identify the meaning first, the literal meaning. Aftershave is a kind of lotion we apply in the area when we shave something in the body, right? So that is kind of lotion. And this Mr. Maybe the person who use very strong and clear lotion after shave. Maybe it leaves kind of very strong smell to others, which is very easily identified. And then maybe the people in the company or in the business don't know exactly what his name is. And they just use the characteristics of using aftershave lotion to call himself Mr. Aftershave is late today. So the name is invented based on some kind of characteristics. We can, from this, we can say that reference is not based on objectively correct naming, but some locally successful choice of expression. What does it mean, locally successful choice of expression? Based on the example, can you help me to explain this sentence, please? Can I ask to you again?
I think that only people who in the community, who is in that community, who is always talking about that person can understand who is Mr. Adjective. So it's
Yeah,
locally.
thank you very much. So the people within the community. What about yourself, Tanvi?
Well, I think that the word may not be correct in all cases, but at least the word can successfully communicate the meaning to the listener. So we say it's locally successful in the context. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Nguyên Bình, any ideas?
Yes, I have the same idea with Miss Thanh Nguyen.
Okay, thank you very much. Locally here, I agree more with Thùy Dung. That means within a community or within a conversation between the speaker and the listener. So based on their shared knowledge and their shared experiences together, so they can refer and infer correctly. So based on that, I would like to ask you, what is a second reference? Thanh Quyên again.
If the listener can detect the reference thing, so it means we make a successful reference. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I love the way you use the word detect. That means you can recognize, you can discover what he means in his mind or her mind. Thank you very much. So, Thanh Xuân, what would you like to share?
No, nothing, sir.
Okay, Nguyên Bình, you want to say something?
Sorry, I don't think any ideas for the reference.
Ok, thôi kệ, giơ tay rồi bắt máy lên rồi cười, cái gì cũng đủ rồi. Vũ Duy?
I think I just want to add some more to Thanh Nguyen ideas. As a set form reference is that that means the speaker, he or she really want to refer to something that a listener actually know exactly what is that.
Okay, that's really good explanation. So that should be a collaborative process with both of the speaker and listener have the role, have responsibilities in thinking about what each other has in mind. I would like you to elaborate the idea, explain further how you understand and what should you know about the roles. Each person has the role in thinking about what other have in mind. Okay, can I ask Thành Vinh, please?
Yeah, teacher, I think to make sure that the speaker and the listener have a role in thinking about what each other has in mind, that they have to share the knowledge or the experience, the opinion in the context. Yeah, in the specific context.
Okay, thank you very much. The roles in here is that, for example, the speaker, when you want to choose a referring expression, you need to know that if our listener, if the person we are talking to, they have the knowledge of that or not, they will understand what the word I choose, or if the word can cause any problem of misunderstanding or is ambiguity or whatever. So we need to know your listener so well, and you choose the word your listener know. For example, when you talk about the same topic to different listener, maybe you talk to high school student, you will say something differently from the way you talk to primary school student, because you know for sure that the listener are very different, and their knowledge and their understanding are different as well. So the way we choose the language, the way we choose the words to identify something are very different based on the listener. At the same time, the listener, when you are a listener, you need to understand, maybe when you try to infer, try to interpret some word, you need to understand what the speaker have in mind. We put yourself in the situation or in the speaker's shoes so that you can understand the background, the knowledge, and what he or she actually mean in that. So we have the responsibility to interpret of each other, and we need to identify the background and also what he or she has in mind so that we can understand more, we can interpret better and more effective. So it is necessarily a collaborative process in which we need to collaborate with each other in order to understand each other well. Okay, so Next one, I would like you to distinguish between what we call the referential and activity uses of the language. Okay, so now this one, I would like you to have a group discussion.
Yes, I will share my ideas.
Yep.
About the I will talk about the attributive use first. When we use the attribute reference, we can use the article a or an, and it means any. For example, I say a cat, it means any cat. But when I use the referential, somehow I use the article the, because it's we know the exact. For example, the cat, which the cat is. That's all.
Okay, thank you very much, Hải. Can I ask Nguyễn Bình, would you like to share something? Sao cười quá vậy? Đã
Yes.
dặn là không được cười mà.
Okay. Yes, after our group discussions, I would like to say something about the referential and attributive use. The first one, attributive use, is something, is the description of something, and we need to we only need to find something that fits with the description. For example, I need a helper. Tôi cần một người giúp đỡ. Thì trong cái trường hợp này, cái từ helper có thể là everyone, ai cũng được, chứ không có yêu cầu là một người cụ thể nào cả. Thì theo em nghĩ đó là attributive use. Còn khi mà ví dụ như khi mình nói là referential use, thì em nghĩ là mình đã có một cái người nào đó ở trong đầu rồi. Ví dụ như vẫn là cái câu nói I need a helper, mà trong đầu em đã mặc định là ví dụ em cần sự giúp đỡ của thầy, thì cái helper đó em đã mặc định là a person in my mind, là thầy rồi, thì cái đó được gọi là referential.
Ok, khi nào mà em mặc định có gì liên quan tới thầy nói cho thầy biết nha.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Hồng Ngọc, would you like to say something about this one, please?
I am the same group with Minh Bình. However, I have an example here. I think it's more easier to understand. Like for the attributive, like I do not have a boyfriend, but I say that I want to.
Cái đó chỉ là example thôi, phải không em?
I think that the context will define the.
Ví dụ mà I don't have a boyfriend, đó là cái đó là example thôi, đúng không?
Em đưa vào cái ngữ cảnh đó thầy.
Ngữ cảnh không có thật, đúng không? Chứ không phải là đang diễn tả tình trạng thật của mình, đúng không?
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Đúng thầy, em không có boyfriend thầy. Okay, ví dụ như ngữ cảnh, I say that I do not have a boyfriend, and then I tell my friend I want to marry a very rich guy. Thì cái này nó chính là attributive, because we do not know who that man is. It's just I will marry anyone who is rich. Okay, and for the referential, like I have two boyfriends. The one is very rich and one is poor. And when I say I want to marry the rich guy, so this is a referential because I already know who that man is. I have a name, but I prefer to tell other people that he is very rich.
Okay, thank you very much for the example, for very, very good explanation. But the example you gave very sensitive. So I would like you yourself give another example, not between rich and not rich in here. Okay, thank you very much. I would like you to look at the word referential or activity. We know that one is used to refer to something. One is to describe some attributes or some characteristics. They are very different because one to show you on the characteristics of something or someone, and one we use to refer to something or someone. But before we start making the distinction between the two, I would like you to know that on referring expression, how identifiable physical reference, and it belongs to three of these. The very first one is that the entity that don't exist as far as we know, or a physically present entity or entities seem to exist but unknown. And based on I would like you to look at the example. So example number 1, there's a man waiting for you. He wants to marry a woman with lots of money, or will love to find a 3-meter tall basketball player. Can you tell me which referring expression go for which one? May I invite Trương Ngọc Anh, please?
Yes, hello, teacher.
Hello, Ngọc Anh.
Yes, hello, teacher. In my opinions, number 2 and number 3 is attributive.
No. I don't ask you to say whether they are attributives or referential. I would like you to identify one. Go with A, B, or C. For example, a man. This is kind of referring expression. So do you think let's go with A, entity don't exist, or physically present entity, or entities seem to exist but unknown?
Yes, in my opinion, number 1's A, B.
What about number 2?
Number two is A, and
number 3.
And number three is C.
Thank you very much, Nguyên Bình. Would you like to say something?
I'm sorry, I forget to lower my hand.
Ok, và chúng ta phải có trách nhiệm đến cái việc mình quên hay mình nhớ đó các bạn. Nghĩa là mình vẫn phải nói thôi.
Yes, I think number 1 is C. Number 2 is B, and the last one, number 3, is A.
Okay, Nguyên Bình and let's say Ngọc Anh, you are differently incorrect. Okay, Thành Vinh, please. Vinh ơi, em có gia đình chưa Vinh? Chưa có bật mic.
Sorry. Sorry, teacher. Number 1 with B, a physically present entity. Number 2, C, and number 3, A, the entity.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Câu hỏi thứ 2 của thầy là em đã có gia đình chưa?
Dạ chưa thầy, em single.
Okay. Giọng hát này, gương mặt này phải là của người cực kỳ đa tình và đa cảm, mà bây giờ vẫn còn single.
Really?
Okay, that's right. Number 1, there's a man waiting for you, so that's a physically present entity. Number 2, we talk about a woman with lots of money. That's the entities. It seems to exist but unknown, that we foresee. And 3 meter tall is entity don't exist as far as we know. Okay, so when we come to distinguish between referential activity, when we say a woman with lots of money, so this one, you know that designates entity that is known to the speaker only based on descriptive properties, and any women with a lot of money. So when we fix the characteristics, when anyone fix or belong to the attribute we describe, in here the woman is attribute used because we just describe the person and whoever or whatever fix the description. But if we say that, if we use that in referential use, when you say, I want to marry a woman with lots of money, we have in mind, we know exactly who the woman is, and we can tell exactly exactly what the person or who the person is. In that case, we refer to referential use. Okay, I don't know whether this is clear or not, but I would like to give you one more example and analyze the example from the books. For example, on the news, you can hear that the speaker say there's no signs of the killer, and it can be referential or activity. If it is activity, so in the case that the speaker or the TV presenter with the no information if there's a person could be the reference of definite expression, the killer or not. Just he state that he assumed that there's someone who is the killer and we don't know for sure who is he. Okay, but if we know exactly there is a killer and maybe the person tried to escape already, and we say that the killer, there knows of the killer, we know exactly the killer is, we can refer to specific person. In that case, we are using referential use. Next one, I would like to introduce about names and reference. So first of all, I would like you to look at those names. Okay, what are they? What do you think they refer to? Gia Bảo.
Yes.
So, do you know Shakespeare?
Yes. He's a writer, a very famous writer, William Shakespeare.
Okay, thank you very much. So I guess you mean the person, right?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Okay, so Như Bình. Hello Như Bình, are you here today?
Dạ thầy, em đây ạ.
Okay, hello Như Bình, what do you think about what is the cheese sandwich?
It's a type of food, a type of
Is it
sandwich.
Okay, thank you very much. What about Picasso? So can I ask Hồng Cảnh, you know Picasso?
Yeah, this is a very famous painters, very famous painter.
What about Mozart?
Mozart is a very much famous musician.
Thank you very much.
Composer, music composer.
Okay, so they the same. Lạc Hà. What do you think about Rolling Stones?
Yes, it's a name of a music band.
A music band. Okay, thank you very much. What about Brazil and Japan? Can I ask Sơn Ngọc Huy, please?
Yeah, it's the name of the country.
Okay, they are names of the countries.
Yeah.
So thank you very much. From your answer, I can see that certain referring expression identify certain identity on the regular basis. For example, when we talk about Shakespeare, we think of the person. Or when you talk about the cheese sandwich, there's something to it. So we can see that referring expression can... so I cannot see this one. Sorry. So when we say that certain impression, so certain identities in the work, and it is, we can say this belief is mistaken. Sometimes when we talk about Shakespeare, but it doesn't mean that Shakespeare is the person. For example, person is something else, and I would like you to look at the names again, and I want you to make a guess. Can you match them with those entities, please? Triều Tiên.
Yes, I would match number one Shakespeare with a book.
Okay, can be. Yeah, and number two.
Number two, the cheese sandwich is oh, I can't see it here. Maybe a picture.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, it's not a picture. Okay, so I will skip two. Can I skip two and move to three?
Okay, move on the others.
Yes, number three, Picasso. Should be a picture. Number four, a new Mozart should be a song or a piece of music. D. Yeah, Rolling Stones. I'll match it with G, a CD or music album. Brazil is a soccer team. C. Japan is a government. E.
And back to number two.
So number two, a man. F.
Okay, it can be. So based on that, based on the prediction, we can see that sometime. So this morning we're talking about the successful reference, a collaboration between the speaker and the listener. So we have the speaker, they have intention to identify, and then the job of the listener is that they need to recognition of intention. So the speaker intention to identify so that he can choose kind of referring expression, and the listener try to analyze what the speaker has in his or her mind, and then recognize the intention so that he or she can infer correctly. So that's what we call collaboration at work. Okay, and we also know that this process need not only work between the speaker and listener, it appears to work between all members of community who share the common language and cultures. This morning we talk about the local knowledge. So you know that sometimes not just the speaker thinks or has in his mind or the listener has in his mind, but also we put them in the context of the communities. Usually in some community, we have kind of culture and we have general knowledge that they need to understand so that they can interpret the right term or they can infer the right words to the right entity. And a truly pragmatic view of reference allows us to see a person can be identified by expression. For example, we say that the cheese sandwich actually mean a person, or a thing can identify via a name Shakespeare. That means that sometimes Shakespeare does not show us the person, but actually a thing, or cheese sandwich is not some kind of food, but actually a man. And I want you to go further to see the example again. For example, they say that, can I borrow your Shakespeare? Certainly Shakespeare here is not a person, not the playwright or the writer or actor. And the answer that, yes, it's over there on the table. So in this case, what do you think about Shakespeare is? Minh Bình, what do you think about Shakespeare in this one? Do you think Shakespeare is the person, the playwright sitting on the table?
No, I don't think so. I think Shakespeare in number one is a book of him, his book.
Okay, so I would like you to move on to talk about where the cheese sandwich sitting. He's over there by the window. So what is it?
It's referred to a man.
Okay, thank you. The man is right, but not very clear to me. I will come back to that later. Okay, so Shakespeare take up the whole bottom shelf. So Nguyen, what do you think about this kind of Shakespeare? Number three.
I think number three is on some books written by Shakespeare.
Okay, thank you very much. And we're going to see Shakespeare in London. What do you think about this Shakespeare?
I think this is the gallery, the gallery about Shakespeare in London.
Okay, thank you very much. So I would like to ask Hồng Ngọc, would you like to say something, Hồng Ngọc?
I think that it should be a play.
It should be a place. Okay, so we can interpret in different ways. For example, number one, we say, can I borrow your Shakespeare? Shakespeare in here can be a book or like a video or a CD, not a CD, a video about Shakespeare. Number three can be book as well. And number four, that's a play written by Shakespeare. Okay, so next one, we go back to the example. I hated Shakespeare at school. What about this one? Can I go on asking Nguyên Bình, what do you think about number 5? So Shakespeare in here is a boy, is a girl.
I think it's the subject at school.
Okay, Shakespeare now is a subject at school. That means Shakespeare related to subject or kind of literature at school. Thank you very much. Okay, next one. Because so it's on the far wall. This one I analyzed another day when we started the course, and the new Moses is better than the patch. So this is a kind of piece of music. And Rolling Stone is missing. What do you think about this one? Can I ask Ngọc Huy?
Teacher, can you repeat the question again?
Okay, I would like you to look at number 8, example number 8. My Rolling Stones is missing. So what do my Rolling Stone refer to?
Maybe the book.
The book?
Yeah. I'm not sure.
No.
Yeah.
No. Any different answer, please? Hồng Cảnh.
So I think it's a music CD of Rolling Stones.
For sure, that's a music CD. Thank you very much for that. Next one, Brazil win World Cup. So what do you think about this one? Can I ask Vũ Kim Phụng?
Yes, teacher. I think this is the football team.
Okay, this is football or soccer team. And the last one, Japan wins first round of trade talks. So what do you think about this one? Can I invite Ewan?
Yeah, maybe this refers to the government of Japan.
Okay, thank you very much. So now, so you can see that the name or the noun or the words may refer to different things, not on its regular basis, based on the speaker intention to identify something. So in terms of the speaker, in the view of the listener, how can we refer correctly? I would like you to look at this sentence again. Brazil win the World Cup. How can you know that Brazil is not a country and you know that Brazil is a football team? So can I ask Thu Thủy?
Yes, because of my knowledge of World Cup. It is a competition, a football competition. So Brazil wins. So it means that it's referred to a team, a football team.
Okay, thank you very much. So you can see that in here in the sentence, Brazil does not stand alone. If it stands alone by itself, it can mean the country or the name of the country. But when we put them in the sentence like Brazil win the World Cup, that means we know something else in here. And win the World Cup in here, we call that context. That's in the part of the context. So what is context? What is context? Can I ask Dante?
Yes, teacher. I think the context is a thing that can help us to identify the meaning of Brazil.
Thank you very much. So context, we mean that that's the linguistic part of the environment with referring expression is used. So thanks for this one, we know what it means exactly. It clearly limits the range of possible interpretation. Brazil can be name of the country, can be name of the government, can be can refer to the football team. And in here, it limits the range of possible interpretation because of the term World Cup. So we know for sure that it's a football team. And we can see that the referring expression actually provides range of reference, a number of possible reference. So Brazil, like I said, it can mean different things. But in here, with this context, we understand that Brazil is a football team. Now, I would like you to look at some more, please. Look at statement number 1 and 2. Can you tell me which is the context? Hồng Cảnh, please.
The context is the cheese sandwich.
Okay. Sorry to disagree, but I don't think so. That is the name. Okay, Thanh Xuân, what do you think about the context in the two statements?
I think that's for number 1, the context is made with white bread, and for number 2, the context is left without paying.
Okay, thank you very much. So I would like you to look at number 1, please. Thanh Xuân, can you go on to show me the cheese sandwich? What does it refer to?
So because we can see the white bread here as an ingredient of the food, so that we can refer the cheese sandwich to a kind of food, kind of sandwich to eat.
And you mentioned the second one, the context is left with the pin. So what does it refer to in the second statement?
I think that it should refer to a person because left without paying are all actions of a person. And here we can understand cheese sandwich as a plan and maybe an exciting person.
Okay, the answer is okay for the second one, but I cannot say, wow, it's correct. So anyone can give me some more details based on the context. Can you interpret something more specific, please? Can I ask Thùy Dung?
I had a different thought in the second sentence. That could be a person who ordered cheese sandwich and that person left without paying for that meal.
Okay, it's more specific, but not like what I expected. Can you be even more specific, please?
That should be a person. That's more
Not
specific.
enough.
Amazing. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Any others? Any others? Hello? The person is not enough. The person is right, but not really clear, not specific enough. Do you think, please?
Yes, I think that the cheese sandwich here refers to a customer in a fast food store. He bought
Beautiful.
something.
No, that's really good one. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, yeah, that's what I expected. So that's actually a customer. Thank you very much. Why? Because when you say a person, we have different kinds of person. But when you say customer, it closely related to left without paying. You say that someone who ordered food and the person who ordered food and who pay money is customer. Thank you very much. So now I would like you to move on. Look at those sentences. And can you tell me what is the context then? Can I ask Phương Huy?
So the context in the sentence number 1 is mustn't be moved.
Thank you. The second one.
The second one is just cancelled.
Yes. And the third one?
And the third one, have complained about the heat.
Thank you very much. So based on the context, can you identify the meaning or the reference of the works?
Yeah, so the heart attack here means the person or the victim of the or the symptom of heart attack. And the second one, your 10:30. Your 10:30 just canceled. I'm not really sure about this.
Okay. And the last one?
And the last one is a couple of rooms refer to the people. In some rooms.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for the interpretation. So you see that Phương Nguyên is very good at interpreting the meaning of the names or the nouns based on the context. But you can see that sometimes we find very difficult to understand or to interpret fully what it means and exactly what actually it refers to. Why? Because we have the context, but what is missing in here is the context. It's not very clear. So I would like to give you the context of those statements so that you can understand more. For example, the context of number one is in hospital. Number two is at the dentist's office. And number three is at the hotel reception. So I would like to go back to Phương Nguyên. Have you got any clear idea of what does it refer to in each statement?
Yeah, so in the first sentence, maybe it advice from a doctor to the patient here. And number two, is 10:30 refers to like an appointment between the patient and the dentist office. Like your appointment has just been cancelled. And the third one, leave from the receptionist to the manager here, and the complaint came from the customer in the hotel.
Okay, that's really clear. That's very, very good explanation. So we can see that in the hospital, based on the context and the context, we can understand that we can interpret that the heart attack here refer to the patient in hospital. Okay, and the 10:30 refer to the appointment between a patient or a customer with the dentist. And the last one, a couple of rooms refer to the people, okay, staying in the hotel. So contact in the physical environment. So can I ask you that what is the difference between context and context? Phương Tú, please.
Yeah, teacher, as I can observe from the beginning, the context are the surrounding words of the main word that help to identify the meaning of the word. And the context is the situation or the place that the sentence appear in the sentence. In that
Okay,
context.
thank you very much. That's right. How do you say context and context in Vietnamese?
Context là ngữ cảnh, còn context là từ ngữ liên quan.
Ok, ngữ cảnh là ok rồi, còn cái từ ngữ liên quan em hãy dùng một cái từ khác trong tiếng Việt đi. Xin hỏi trong lớp mình có anh chị nào nói được tiếng Việt Nam không? How do you say context in Vietnamese, please? Thì Dung.
You can.
Em đoán là văn cảnh.
Beautiful, that's right, amazing. Yeah, chúng ta có văn cảnh và có ngữ cảnh. Thank you very much. So, but remember when we talk about context, the context here is not just the conversation, in not just the place where the conversation takes place, but it depends on the context. In the community, like what we said, the local knowledge of the participant and also the local social cultural convention is the basic for the inference. For example, when we look at some cultural aspects in communication, we can see that I read a book in Vietnamese. They talk about Vietnamese pragmatics. They analyze the image of con cò in Vietnamese culture, and which is very different from Russian culture. And you see that we all know that when we talk about con cò in Vietnamese culture, we refer to a very, very good hardworking wife and women at home. Okay, but in Russian culture, they're very different. So that we need to understand the cultural context then, and based on that, we can interpret the message, or we can interpret the information exactly. And remember, the message or the reference will be differ from one group to another, from one language to another. I don't know whether have you ever heard of the term Scarlet A? Have you ever heard of Scarlet A?
Yes, Scarlet A means a female who isn't who already had husband but still has some relationship with other men, as I know.
Okay, thank you very much, Thanh Thúy. Thank you for the contribution, and that's a very good interpretation. Scarlet Age đó là một cái tác phẩm văn học mà trong cái chuyện dịch đó thì người ta dịch là chữ A màu đỏ. Nhưng mà khi mà em biết không, khi mà đọc cái tác phẩm đó, nếu như em đọc cái tác phẩm chữ A màu đỏ đó, thì cái màu đỏ trong cái văn hóa của Việt Nam mình thì thường là một cái màu nó kiêu hãnh và nó chiến thắng. Nhưng mà cái Scarlet A trong cái tác phẩm văn học mà chúng ta có đó, nó gọi là Scarlet A đó, nó không có miêu tả cho cái màu kiêu hãnh và sự chiến thắng. Scarlet A đó là viết tắt cho chữ adultery, là chữ ngoại tình. Cái câu chuyện kể một cái câu chuyện rất là xúc động về tình yêu và sự giằng xé nội tâm của những cái người mà theo đạo Thanh giáo. Cái thời đó thì cái hình ảnh của người phụ nữ mà có quan hệ ngoài luồng với người khác đó là luôn luôn bị phỉ báng, và nó đặt để trong một cái bối cảnh của nước Mỹ khi mà Thanh giáo bắt đầu được truyền bá đến rất là nhiều người. Cái câu chuyện, cái tình yêu của hai người này họ diễn ra cũng rất là đặc biệt. Một người bà mẹ trẻ, một người vợ phải thoát ly gia đình đi về đến một cái vùng này gần như là vùng kinh tế mới vậy đó, để mở mang một cái trang trại, trong khi người chồng bác sĩ thì ở lại cái nơi cũ để mà hành nghề. Trong cái trang trại nhà cô đó là có cả một cái vùng rất là rộng lớn, và cô rất là hay khám phá trong cái trang trại nhà mình. Ở trong đó thì cô phát hiện ra là trong đó có một cái hồ nước rất là đẹp luôn. Thế thì một buổi trưa nọ, cô đột nhiên là cô đang ở trong cái trang trại thì cô nghe có tiếng động. Cô nghĩ là có thú rừng, nhưng mà cô vào, cô rình vào, cô xem để coi con thú nào, thì thật ra không có con thú nào cả. Mà ở trong cái hồ nước nhà cô đó thì có một người đàn ông đẹp như thiên thần đang khỏa thân bơi ở trong đó. Và cô là một cái người phụ nữ xa chồng ở một cái nơi thâm sơn cùng cốc, mình gọi là in the middle of nowhere. Bắt gặp hình ảnh đó mà người đàn ông kia thì quá đẹp đi, cô không có rời mắt được, cô nhìn lén hoài luôn. thì cô mới phát hiện ra là cái tiếng động đó lâu lâu nó lại đến. Có nghĩa là người đàn ông đó cứ mỗi một tuần thì vài ba lần đến bơi trong hồ nước nhà cô. Cô cũng có chút cái cảm tình với người đó. Và sau này thì cô mới biết cái người đàn ông đó là cha nhà thờ của đạo Thanh giáo. Và có nhiều cái câu chuyện xảy ra ở giữa họ. Và cuối cùng tình cảm họ đến một cách rất là tự nhiên. Thì khi đó thì bên đạo Thanh giáo thì cha nhà thờ vẫn chưa được phép có quan hệ với phụ nữ và không có được cưới vợ. Cô này cổ mang bầu trong khi cổ ở rất là xa chồng. Thì người chồng đến thì bằng tất cả sự thù hận muốn tìm ra coi kẻ nào là cái là tác giả của cái bào thai. Nhưng như cô ấy khai ra thì cô ấy sẽ không có bị tội, nhưng mà cô quyết định cô giữ kín danh tính của người đàn ông đó. Và cuối cùng thì cô buộc phải chịu cái hình phạt là đi ra giữa phố cạo đầu và đeo một cái bảng trong suốt thời gian cô đi ra chợ. Đó là một cái bảng với chữ A màu đỏ. Chữ A đó như thầy đã nói, nó đại diện cho nó là viết tắt của chữ attachment. Và cái chữ A đó, cái nét chữ nó rất là đỏ, nó không phải là red mà nó là scarlet. Thì nếu như mà kể câu chuyện hơi dài dòng, nhưng mà thật ra khi mình nghe nói chữ A màu đỏ đó thì mình nghĩ tới một cái gì nó rất là kiêu hãnh. Nhưng thật ra nếu về xét về văn hóa đó, xét về cái bối cảnh đó, thì chữ A đó nên phải được hiểu là gọi là nét chữ ô nhục thì nó mới đúng hơn. Ok, khi mình đặt vào trong cái trường hợp như vậy, khi mình nghe cái câu chuyện như vậy thì mình hiểu thêm, mình refer thêm được một cái câu chuyện khác. So that's what I call so we need to understand the culture of where the utterance is made so that we can interpret correctly. Okay, based on the information we have, so I would like to refer once again, I would like to conclude that reference, not simply relationship between the meaning of the words or phrase and an object or the person in the word. So actually no direct connection or no direct relationship between the words and the object or the person or the entity. But actually it is also act. What is also act? That's in which the speaker assumes that the word or phrase chosen identify the subject or the person. And this intention will be interpreted by the listener, And if there's collaboration between the speaker and the listener, so they can get to know the intention will be recognized. Okay, I would like to move on to show you what we call the anaphoric reference. And I would like you to look at this. Here are some referring expression: a man, a woman, a cat. So when we talk about this one for the first time, we say that initial reference, because we mentioned the very first time about the man, the woman, a man, a woman, and a cat. When we repeat that again, we have the man, the cat, and the woman, it, he, her, okay, they, all of these, they are reference again. But at this time, we call that subsequent reference. That means the following up reference. And usually for this, initial reference will start first and subsequent reference follow after that. But sometimes in real life, in using the language, we have some different idea. We say that in for general rule, the use of the word that refer to something or rephrases another word used earlier in the sentence, we call subsequent reference. Like in here, And the initial present or initial reference, we call them antecedent. And the second or the subsequent reference, we refer as anaphor. Okay, so I would like you to get to know on the term before we move on. So when we first mention to the phrase or the word, we consider they are initial reference, or we call another name is antecedent. And when we mention it the second time or the third time, we call second or subsequent reference or anaphor. Usually, initial impression or initial reference or antecedent will come first. Second and subsequent impression or subsequent reference or anaphor will come later. So that's the general rule. And we can see that usually we're in the process of introductory mention, second reference, and subsequent reference. And I say again, this one, the introductory mention, so we mentioned for the first time, we call this one initial impression or initial reference. This is second reference or subsequent reference is okay. And for the second and the third or many more, we call anaphor. Anaphoric reference is a process of continuing to identify exactly the same entity and denote by the antecedent. I would like to go back again to show you what it is. So when I use the anaphor, the man, I refer this man. When I say the cat, I refer to a cat. I talked before, the same person or the same thing. I say the woman, I mean I refer back to a woman I mentioned before. That's the general rules. But actually, this one is not always right. Not any anaphor or anaphoric reference refer the same thing as identified by antecedent. For example, look at this example, please. Can you tell me which one is initial impression or antecedent and which one is subsequent reference or anaphor, please? Penguin, please.
Okay, so the antecedent here is picked potatoes, and the anaphor is dumb. Yes.
Beautiful. That's right. So we can analyze like this one. Dumb refer to sweet potato, and we can say that sweet potato are antecedent and dumb anaphor. So they refer to the same entity. But actually, I would like to look at this one. And I remember, Penguin, you use a very good term of subtle difference in the language we use. Still, we have dumb and we have sweet potato. But dumb in here does not refer to the sweet potatoes. It refers to something else. So what are they? Tiltin, please.
Yeah, that refers to sliced potatoes. The
Thank you very much.
slices of sweet potatoes.
Thank you very much. That's right. So even in the same sentence, you can see that peel and slice sweet potatoes. Put them in cold salted water. And dumb here does not refer to the original sweet potato, but actually it means that the sliced potatoes, not the original sweet potatoes. So we can see the difference in the anaphor and antecedent. And another thing is that Like in the general rules, I say that antecedent should come first and anaphor come later. But when the language is in use, we can see something like, I turned to corner and almost stepped on it. There were a large snake in the middle of the path. Can you tell me which one is antecedent and which one is anaphor? Thanh Nguyên again.
Okay, so it sounds a little bit weird, but it is the antecedent, and a large snake is the anaphor. So I think it tries to refer forward to something that we need to look forward to find the identity. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So actually, in here we can see that it refers to a large snake, and in that case, anaphor is it, and antecedent is large snake. And in this case, let's see in another version, it reverses the normal order. So we can say anaphor in this case, in those sentences, it comes first and the antecedent come later. And in such situation, it here is not anaphor anymore, but we say it's a cataphora. That means the anaphor that come before, that appears before the antecedent. More, I would like you to look at this one. Can you identify the antecedent and the anaphor in those sentences, please? Here, an onion and slice it, drop the slices in hot oil, cook for 3 minutes. Phương Quyên với Nguyên Bình giơ tay lên mà lại tắt camera rồi, làm giật mình à. Hiểu My.
I think that antecedent is the anaphor. Anaphor is the onion. And antecedent is
so can you say that again to me? Onion is?
I think that anaphor is onion in number one. And antecedent is it. And for B and C, I don't find any antecedent, but I think that the slices is it. Slice it is the onion, and the slices is the antecedent of it. Em nghĩ cái này em nghĩ là cái củ hành á, thì it là cái antecedent của cái củ hành đó, nhưng mà cái slices trong cái câu B á, là nó sẽ là cái tiếp nối của cái it đó, rồi cái khúc là nó bỏ luôn thầy.
Ok, thầy hiểu rất là rõ Thiệu My nói đó các bạn, nhưng mà nếu như mình cho bất kỳ ai mà mới vô ngồi đây nghe Thiệu My nói xong rồi người ta bị tẩu hỏa nhập ma liền, nhưng mà thầy hiểu rất là rõ ý Thiệu My nói. Thank you very much. Xin mời Hồng Ngọc.
I think that she just like giống như kiểu lộn giữa cái antecedent với lại anaphor á chị My. I think that onion should be the antecedent and it should be anaphor, and I think that the slices should be something referred to the onion, so it should be the anaphor too. And for C, I think that something is missing here. Instead of saying cook them, so they just dismiss the word them.
Okay, thank you very much. That's very clear. So we can see that I have to say it is anaphor and onion the antecedent. Okay, so it refers to an onion, but actually what is it? What is it? So remember, it here is not the original onion, but what?
A peeled onion.
Beautiful. That's right. That's right. That's the peeled onion. Okay. And then drop the slices into hot oil. Cook for 3 minutes. So cook for 3 minutes. And I remember to me said that cook them for 3 minutes. So done here, cook something here, actually is the fried sliced onion for 3 minutes, right? Not cook the onion, but the fried sliced onion for 3 minutes. And with the mention to the fried sliced onion, we still understand that cook them for 3 minutes. And in this case, we consider there are 0 anaphora or ellipses. Okay, we have more sentences to go. I want you to look at the 3 statements in here. I just rented a house. The kitchen is really big. We had Chardonnay with dinner, and the wine was the best part. The bus came on time, but he didn't stop. So what is the relationship between the words in here in each statement? Hiểu My?
I think that the relationship is that it is a part, like the kitchen is a part of the house. The wine, the Chardonnay is the name of the wine, and we can understand as the bus driver. So they have the connection, like with the relationship, belong to or connection to.
Okay, thank you very much. That's really good one. Okay, em nghĩ sao em nói luôn đi to me. Yeah, thank you. Nhưng mà nãy em giải thích rất là rõ
Em nghĩ là
rồi.
cái này nó giống như là khi mà nói ở house thì cái the kitchen thì mình tự mặc định mình hiểu là the kitchen of the house.
Yeah.
Rồi cái Chardonnay thì mình hiểu nó là cái tên, thì mình cái đằng sau người ta không cần nói lại cái tên đó, người ta chỉ nói là the wine, thì mặc định cái người nghe người ta sẽ biết cái đang muốn nói tới là cái Chardonnay.
Yes.
Còn cái the bus came on time, nhưng mà cái he trong trường hợp này nó không phải là the bus, mà cái he này là cái bus driver, tức là người ta không cần phải nói là bus driver, cái he này mặc định là người nghe họ sẽ hiểu được là cái người lái xe bus không có dừng lại, tức là
okay,
nó mặc dù nó không cần phải nói rõ ra dạng.
Thank you. Okay, so the point is, why do you say that đây không cần phải nói?
Because they have a relationship. Nó có cái mối quan hệ.
Thầy thích cái chỗ mà em nói như chỗ này không cần phải nói, chỗ này không cần phải nói. Tại sao vậy? Cái ý đó hay đó.
Tại vì nó có mối liên hệ thầy, tức là đọc cô là thấy liền luôn.
Chúng ta hiểu được ngay các em. We understand it right away without saying the relationship between them because of something, and something is what we call the local knowledge. Cái mà chúng ta phân tích từ sớm giờ chúng ta gọi là local knowledge, là những cái kiến thức chung, là những cái hiểu biết chung. So we know that in the house we have different rooms, and the kitchen is a compulsory part in the house. And the kitchen here mentioned to one room, one part of the house. Chardonnay is certainly the why. Everybody knows that. We assume that everybody knows that because that's the general knowledge. And the bus, when we say hey, we know that the bus needs a driver, and this is the bus driver, so that's a he without saying. Thank you very much. So you can see that. Okay, successful reference does not depend on strictly literal or grammatically correct. Relationship between the properties of the referent and the referring expression chosen. So once again, we can see that they are very different from syntax or semantics, just because it depends on the speakers and the listener, and depends on the context and the culture as well. So in which the speaker select linguistic expression with the intention of identifying certain entities and with the assumption that listener will collaborate and interpret those impressions as the speaker think or as the speaker intended. And finally, how to say that successful reference means that intention was recognized via inference, indicating the kind of shared knowledge and hence social connection. So, any question, please? Và đây cũng là lời kết cho cái bài Reference and Inference của chúng ta. Để chúng ta hiểu rằng là ngôn ngữ nó không phụ thuộc vào nghĩa của nó, không phụ thuộc vào nghĩa đen của nó trên từ điển hoặc là ngữ nghĩa như cái phần semantics. Nó cũng không thuộc vào cái cấu trúc ngữ pháp mà chúng ta đang sử dụng. Nó phụ thuộc phần lớn vào ý định của người nói và cái năng lực giải mã của người nghe, mà họ có thể tìm kiếm được điểm chung bằng cái share knowledge, bằng cái local knowledge rất là quan trọng. Chính vì thế lúc sáng nay thầy có nói một cái điểm đó là mà không phải riêng pragmatics này. Em biết không, khi mà chúng ta giao tiếp xã hội đó, sẽ có rất là nhiều lần chúng ta sẽ tiếp xúc với nhiều đối tượng khác nhau. Theo cái cách là có một số trường hợp thì nói sao ta? Là em có nói mấy người ta cũng không hiểu. Em có nói cách gì người ta cũng không hiểu. Đó. Người ta nhất quyết người ta không hiểu, tại vì người ta không có share knowledge. Mà mình hay dùng từ là share language, mình không có tiếng nói chung đó. Cái language đó bao gồm cả knowledge, không có một cái kiến thức nền tảng chung. Có một vài trường hợp thì em nói riết, em giải thích riết người ta cũng hiểu, đúng không? Có một vài trường hợp em nói ít người ta hiểu nhiều. Nhưng mà sẽ có những trường hợp rất là đặc biệt, có khi chúng ta không cần nói gì cả, hoặc là chúng ta nói rất là ít mà bên kia vẫn hiểu. Đó là trường hợp gọi là tâm giao vậy. Đó là tâm giao. Là em sẽ có những cái đứa bạn thân. Em nhớ kỹ lại đi. Em nói hớ ra, em mới vừa có mở đầu thôi, em chưa kịp nói hết là bên kia nó cười dữ lắm, nó cười rồi. Em không cần phải kết thúc cái câu đó. Em không cần phải kết thúc cái câu chuyện cười đó. Hoặc là em đang có vấn đề em muốn chia sẻ, mà em chia sẻ mới có chút xíu là nó nói ok, hiểu rồi, biết rồi. Có nghĩa là cái thông điệp đã được lĩnh hội một cách trọn vẹn mà không cần phải hoàn thành. Thì những cái trường hợp như vậy rất là tuyệt vời. Những người đó phải nói là họ gọi là đồng thanh tương ứng, đồng khí tương cầu. Bởi vì nó rất là hay, nó hòa nhịp cùng với nhau. Mà không cần phải giải thích nhiều, hoặc là nói ít mà bên kia vẫn hiểu đúng cái ý của mình luôn. Nhưng mà nói gì thì nói, vẫn nhắc lại mấy em, there's always a gap between what the people want to communicate in another and the listener or the other understand the message. Giữa cái người nói và người nghe của chúng ta luôn luôn nó có một cái khoảng cách. Làm sao chúng ta san bằng được cái khoảng cách đó là rất là quan trọng. Thì nhắc lại cái ý sáng nay, in order to have successful reference or conversation, the speakers and the listener certainly they need to have a role in thinking of what each other has in mind. Người nói cũng phải biết trong đầu người nghe có cái gì, kiến thức nền của người nghe là cái gì, để chọn lựa cho nó đúng. Và người nghe khi chúng ta giải mã thì chúng ta cũng phải biết là người nói này trong đầu của họ có cái gì, tại sao họ nói câu đó. Ví dụ cái câu đó mà xuất hiện ở người A thì nó lại rất là khác cái câu đó, cái thông điệp đó mà nó xuất hiện ở người B. Bởi vì có thể trình độ họ khác nhau, thông điệp họ khác nhau, cái suy nghĩ trong đầu của họ cũng khác nhau. Nên cái cách mà khi mà chúng ta hiểu được cái gì mà người nói và người nghe có đó thì chúng ta sẽ giải mã được thành công hơn. Hy vọng là chúng ta một lúc nào đó trong cuộc sống chúng ta sẽ gặp được những người tri âm tri kỷ, những người tâm giao, những người mà chúng ta không cần phải hoàn thành hết câu nói nhưng người ta vẫn hiểu mình, và chúng ta hạn chế nói với những người mà nói hoài ta không có hiểu.